The night was meant to be a formal gathering, a rare event where political figures, business elites, and media personalities came together under the same roof. The grand ballroom of the Washington Liberty Hotel sparkled under the chandelier lights, the air filled with the low hum of conversation, polite laughter, and the occasional clinking of champagne glasses. It was an evening of diplomacy and charity, a public display of unity in a deeply divided nation. Yet, everyone knew the room was filled with unspoken tensions, rivalries hidden behind forced smiles, alliances built on fragile handshakes. Among the many attendees, two names stood out more than the rest. Hunter Biden, the son of former President Joe Biden, a man who had spent years in the public eye, often at the center of controversy. Barron Trump, the youngest son of current President Donald Trump, known for staying out of the limelight, rarely engaging in the political storm surrounding his family. No one expected a direct confrontation between the two. They had never been known to interact publicly. One was in his 50s, seasoned by both politics and scandal. The other was barely out of his teenage years, often regarded as reserved and distant from political drama. But tonight, things would change. As the evening progressed, conversations swirled around the room. People exchanged pleasantries, some discussed business, others debated politics in hushed tones. The cameras were rolling, capturing every handshake and forced grin. Then the moment happened. A small gathering formed near the stage, high-profile guests, journalists, and political insiders. Hunter Biden stood among them, speaking animatedly, his glass of whiskey in hand. His body language was relaxed, his voice carrying just enough volume for others nearby to hear. And then, almost casually but intentionally, he said it. A comment, a jab, an insult directed at Barron Trump. For a second, the world seemed to pause. People nearby froze mid-conversation. Some exchanged quick glances, while others pretended not to hear. A few reporters subtly turned their attention to the exchange, sensing that something unexpected was about to unfold. Barron, standing just a few feet away, heard every word. And yet he didn't react. Not immediately. He simply turned his head, his expression unreadable. The question now hung in the air. Would he ignore it? Would he walk away? Or would he respond? What do you think he should do? Stay silent and let it go? Respond immediately and put Hunter in his place? Say something so unexpected that it shifts the entire mood of the room? Whatever his choice, no one could have predicted what was about to happen next. The tension in the air was thick. People weren't sure whether to pretend they didn't hear or to lean in and witness what was about to unfold. Hunter Biden, standing with a cocky smirk, swirled his drink in his hand as he casually glanced around. His words had been spoken loud enough for those nearby to hear, loud enough for Barron to hear. The insult wasn't just a passing joke. It was pointed, deliberate, meant to get a reaction. What exactly did Hunter say? Maybe it was a dig at Barron's father, Donald Trump. Maybe it was about Barron's quiet nature, comparing him to the loud, controversial figures in his family. Maybe it was something personal, a remark questioning whether Barron would ever live up to his father's legacy. Whatever it was, it had the room frozen. For a moment, Barron didn't react. His face gave nothing away. Some in the crowd expected an outburst, maybe a heated exchange, maybe a storm-off. But Barron didn't take the bait. Instead, he did something that no one saw coming. He turned slowly, locked eyes with Hunter, and delivered a response so cold, so calculated, that it sent a ripple through the entire room. But before I tell you what he said, let me ask you this. If you were in Barron's position, what would you have said? Would you have taken the high road, letting silence be your weapon? Or would you have fired back with a statement so powerful that the entire room would be left in shock? Comment your thoughts below before watching next, because what Barron said next would make headlines. A hush fell over the gathering. The few journalists in the room subtly leaned in, their eyes flicking between Hunter and Barron, ready to capture whatever happened next. Hunter Biden, still wearing his cocky smirk, clearly expected one of two reactions. An outburst, something impulsive, loud, emotional. A reaction that could be used against Barron later. Silence, a sign of submission, an easy way to walk away without confrontation. But Barron Trump did neither. Instead, he turned toward Hunter, slowly and deliberately, the way a chess player moves before checkmate. His face remained calm, unshaken, unbothered. And then, with a voice steady and controlled, he spoke. "It's interesting, isn't it?" Barron said, his tone smooth but cutting. "How some people spend years trying to prove themselves, yet still can't escape their father's shadow." The room reacted instantly. A few gasps, some stifled chuckles. Others whispered "wow" under their breath. Hunter's smirk faltered, just for a second. Barron didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to trade insults. He simply said the one thing that stung the most. Hunter's history was no secret. The struggles, the controversies, the criticism. And now, with just one carefully worded statement, Barron had flipped the entire moment on its head. But he wasn't done yet. As the room processed the weight of his words, Barron added one last line, a finishing blow. "I guess some of us don't have to try so hard to be respected." And just like that, silence. The smirk on Hunter's face was gone, his jaw clenched slightly, his posture stiffening. Somewhere in the room, a businessman let out a low chuckle. A woman standing nearby raised her glass slightly, as if in acknowledgement. Even a few journalists exchanged looks that seemed to say, "Did that just happen?" The power shift was undeniable. Hunter had thrown the first punch, expecting Barron to fumble. Instead, Barron had turned the insult into a mirror. Hunter wasn't prepared for that. And the best part? Barron didn't even wait for a reaction. He simply turned away, adjusting the cuffs on his suit jacket, and moved on to another conversation as if nothing had happened. But the moment wasn't over, because now the entire room was reacting. If you had been in the room, what would you have done? Would you have clapped? Would you have been stunned into silence like most of the guests? Do you think Hunter deserved it, or was Barron's response too brutal? The energy in the room had shifted entirely. What had started as Hunter Biden's moment of arrogance had turned into something else entirely, a public reckoning. Some people were stunned into silence. Others looked at Barron with newfound respect, and a select few, unable to contain their amusement, let out quiet chuckles at what they had just witnessed. But the most noticeable reaction? Hunter Biden himself. For the first time that evening, he wasn't the one in control of the conversation. His usual self-assured demeanor had faltered. It was subtle, but it was there. The tightness in his jaw. The way he shifted his stance ever so slightly. The realization that, despite his experience in handling media attention in political debates, he had been outplayed. Different reactions across the room. The political insiders, a group of seasoned political strategists, exchanged knowing glances. They had seen many public clashes over the years, but this was different. One of them muttered under his breath, "That kid just won the room." The business leaders. A few CEOs and investors, normally disinterested in political drama, seemed impressed. They admired composure under pressure, a trait valuable in leadership. One leaned toward his colleague and said, "Did you see how he handled that?" Calm. Precise. No wasted words. The journalists. The press members in attendance had just struck gold. They could already see the headlines forming in their minds. Barron Trump silences Hunter Biden with one chilling sentence. Hunter Biden's unexpected showdown with Barron Trump and how it ended. One journalist, barely able to contain his excitement, pulled out his phone and sent a quick text to his editor. The younger crowd, Some of the younger attendees, including influencers and social media personalities, smirked in amusement. They knew how quickly this moment would go viral. Within minutes, memes would be everywhere, and Twitter would be buzzing with reactions. One influencer whispered, "This is gonna break the internet." Hunter Biden tries to recover. For a split second, Hunter considered firing back. A rebuttal, a joke, something to regain control of the situation. But the damage had already been done. The room was already moving on. Barron had delivered his response, turned away, and shifted to another conversation as if nothing had happened. By engaging further, Hunter risked making himself look desperate, and that was something he couldn't afford. So instead, he did the only thing he could do. He forced a smirk, shrugged as if it didn't bother him, and took another sip of his drink. But everyone in that room knew the truth. The confidence he had walked in with, it was gone. How social media responds. The event was private, but that didn't mean it stayed that way. Before the night was even over, whispers of the exchange started leaking online. A leaked video clip. Someone had captured the moment, and it was already circulating among journalists and influencers. Trending on Twitter. Within hours, hashtags like #Barron Clapback and #Hunter vs. Barron started trending. Comment sections exploding. People debated whether Hunter had it coming or if Barron's response was too cold, too calculated. If you had been there in the room, how would you have reacted? Would you have been impressed by Barron's calmness? Would you have felt bad for Hunter, or do you think he got exactly what he deserved? Do you believe this moment changed the way people see Barron Trump? The night had started as just another high-profile gathering, a room full of politicians, businessmen, and media figures, each with their own agenda, each navigating the evening with practiced smiles and carefully chosen words. But by the end of the night, one conversation had eclipsed everything else. Barron Trump, the son of one of the most polarizing presidents in modern history, had just delivered a verbal knockout, one so effortless, so unexpected, that it had become the defining moment of the evening. Immediate reactions. As the event drew to a close, attendees were still buzzing about what had just happened. Political analysts were already predicting what this meant for Barron's future. Business leaders saw it as a moment of sharp intelligence and composure. Media figures were debating how to frame it. Was this just a personal exchange, or was it symbolic of something bigger? And then, as expected, the media firestorm began. The internet erupts. Within hours, clips of the exchange started making their way online. Twitter X explodes. Barron Trump just ended Hunter Biden's whole career in 5 words. Hunter tried to be slick, but Barron was colder than ice. This is the kind of calculated response that wins debates. Viral video titles on YouTube. The moment Hunter Biden regretted his words. Barron Trump claps back like a boss. Did Barron just prove he's the future of the Trump legacy? Memes flood the internet. One meme showed Hunter's face before and after Barron's response, his smirk turning into an awkward silence. Another meme compared Barron to a chess grandmaster, making a move while Hunter sat there confused. The hashtags trending, $Barron Trump wins Hunter versus Barron cold. As Barron people from all sides of the political spectrum had opinions. Some saw Barron's response as an undeniable moment of strength. Others saw it as a moment of arrogance. But no one could ignore one simple fact. Barron Trump was no longer just the quiet one. The media response. Within 24 hours, the major news outlets had picked up the story. Fox News. Barron Trump shows poise and intelligence beyond his years. Is he the next Trump to watch? CNN. Barron Trump's clapback, a calculated move or just another political drama? New York Times. Hunter versus Barron, a moment that symbolizes more than just words. Even late-night talk shows jumped on the moment. Hunter Biden should have known better. Barron didn't even flinch. He got hit with a verbal nuke and just stood there like, well, that backfired. How this changed Barron's public perception. Before this night, Barron had always been a background figure in the Trump family. Unlike his older siblings, he wasn't outspoken in the political arena. He rarely made public statements. He was seen as reserved, detached from his father's legacy. But this moment? This one simple clapback changed everything. People began to wonder, was Barron more strategic than people thought? Did he just prove he has the ability to command attention without even trying? Was this a sign of things to come? One political commentator put it best. This wasn't just a witty comeback. This was a sign of someone who knows exactly when to speak and when to stay silent. And in politics, that's a dangerous skill to have. Hunter Biden's response. As the internet tore apart the exchange, one question remained. Would Hunter respond? For a while, he didn't. Maybe he wanted to let the moment die down. Maybe he knew there was no way to recover gracefully. But the longer he stayed silent, the more control Barron had over the narrative. Eventually, a statement was leaked from a close associate of Hunter Biden saying, "Hunter isn't interested in petty exchanges. He's focused on real issues that actually matter." Some saw it as damage control. Others saw it as an indirect admission that Barron had won the exchange. Either way, it didn't matter. The moment had already cemented itself in the public consciousness. Final reflection: what this means moving forward. This wasn't just a random exchange between two high-profile figures. This moment symbolized something bigger. It was a clash of two legacies, Trump versus Biden, not in politics but in personal presence and strength. It was a testament to composure under pressure, something the public hadn't expected from Barron Trump. And most importantly, it was a lesson in power dynamics, how one well-placed sentence can control an entire room. Some called it a defining moment. Others called it just another viral clip. But one thing was certain: Barron Trump would never be underestimated again. Now that you've read the full story, what's your take? Did Barron handle it perfectly, or should he have been even more aggressive? Do you think this moment changed how people see him forever? Would you have responded the same way if you were in his position? Drop your thoughts below. And remember, one moment can change everything. If this story shocked, entertained, or inspired you, don't forget to share it. Let's keep the conversation going. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe, follow, and stay tuned for our next deep dive.